Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
I'm your host, Con John Turk, and on this episode, we're talking rich folk BMW things. Don't worry, I'm wearing my Honda shirt. It's okay, guys. It's a new class, at least to me, SpecE9X. And because I'm completely uneducated on BMWs, sorry, John from 91 Octane, I need a guest. So joining me, engineer, hiker, Garmin Catalyst user, which I appreciate, and SpecE9X cheerleader, Aleric Sanders. Welcome to the show.
Hey there. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. You reached out to me sort of to cover this class, and it's time because the season's coming up. There's plenty of people that are building cars or thinking about it, or even preparing themselves for that journey to comp school. So maybe not this year, but they're going, okay, I'm in group 3. I want to do this. I want to get into 4. I want to do this many things, or I want to do time trials, or I'm in time trials and I'm trying to move on this year. They've set their goals for 2024, and it's probably a good time to even set them up for success in 2025. So it would be a good time to cover this class.
Sure. Cool.
Before we get deep into that subject, let's get your background in racing.
Okay. Let's see. Where to start? I guess growing up in, high school and before, I was, quick in karting, more of a, hobby every, once a month at a local track kind of thing. Nothing ever professional. Was into NASCAR. Then in college, I went to Old Dominion University. They had a Formula SAE program. Got a good group of friends, and we built race cars together. Some of our core group started graduating on before others did, and then they said this not building race cars thing together kind of sucks. So one of my buddies got a $600 E36. And we built a chump car out of it, and we've been racing that since 2017. The team is still active today. I'm registered for the 24-hour or the 12-hour for Champ Car in March, and then we do a 24-hour every year. So it's good fun. But then I've since graduated college, and then gotten a big boy job and engineer, and I've sort of wanted to scratch the racing itch a little bit more than doing 2 or 3 races a year. And spec racing looked to be a lot of fun. Taylor Johnson is a real cheerleader for the spec 3 class, and
he's more than a cheerleader.
Oh yeah, I'm well aware he does a lot for NASA as a whole. I've seen him in the registration building, and I know he does a lot of web stuff too. Super guy. Power to him. I saw that he was building up that class, and it looked fun and exciting. But I've sort of been there and done that with a lot of E36 stuff. I was looking for something new. Coincidentally, I already had a daily E90, and I didn't really see a SpecE9X class until, I don't know, probably about a year into ownership of that car. So, I did a few things reliability wise to it, and it, sort of fit the bill. Coincidentally, I had the stock dual mass flywheel at 140,000 miles just explode on me on the highway. And so I switched to a single mass flywheel kit, and it happened to be the chosen spec flywheel in clutch kit. So that was at least
lucky.
Lucky.
Fortunate.
Didn't have to do it. Yeah, I didn't have to buy something else and do more work into it. But Yeah, it looked new. It looked exciting. And I was happy to join the others down in Florida that were sort of growing the series and to sort of spread it to Mid-Atlantic.
And who do you work for professionally?
I work for two companies, Ballinger Motorsports. They've been in business for now 21 years. They really specialize in automotive sensors, connectors, wiring, harnesses, do air fuel ratio monitors. We're an AIM dealer, Garmin Catalyst, you name it. And then I work for a company called Flagtronics. I think that you did a bit about flagging about this time last year with Matt with the company. We're a competitor of his, and we're in a lot of different series. But we're both happy to be a part of that niche of the industry and advance racing safety forward. So
yeah, we won't knock capitalism here. Competition, right. Is good. We love it on track, and we love it in business, and that's what will help sharpen everyone. Help sharpen every product, and in the end, the end user benefits from it. So, I actually have a couple of ideas we'll talk about when we finish this podcast, because I think I want to bring you back maybe for maybe one or two other topics. So discuss a little different content later on, but that's what happens when I get to internet stalk you before we start this podcast. So you talked about owning an E90, and this is SpecE9X. So what chassis qualify for this spec class?
So the E90 is the four-door version, the sedan. The E92 is the coupe. Only those are eligible. We use the N52 engine, so only N52 powered E90s and E92s are allowed in the series. So there's the E91, which is the wagon, that's not allowed. E93 is the convertible, that's not allowed. And if you have the N54 engine, which is the twin turbo version, that's clearly not allowed. And then the N51, you got to watch out for those. Even though it might be a naturally aspirated 3-liter, it could be an N51. I believe there were 15 of the 50 states that required higher emissions standards. And so the N51 is a lower compression ratio N52 with a bunch of emission stuff tacked on as well. So
yeah, so it sounds like you guys sort of took the similar route of the Spec 46 group, doing only a certain engine with the coupes and the sedans, and not really branching out into the convertible and station wagon route.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you hinted earlier that this class is sort of big in Florida. So is that where things started?
Yeah. The driving force behind it is Carlos Mendez. Fortunately, he couldn't join us on this for scheduling reasons. I think he's doing a 6-hour enduro at Sebring right now. So power to him. So he's the owner of Condor Speed Shop, which is huge within the BMW world. Probably not quite as big as Bimmer World, but there's a fair following that he has, and he does a lot of great stuff and offers a lot of cool products for lots of different BMW chassis. So I think in 2021 was really his big test bed development year on the class. So he took his car to Olin's facility in North Carolina, and they kept it for a number of weeks, and he had it chassis dynoed. And so our spec suspension kit is a specially valved Olin's DFV technology, dual flow valve kit, coilovers, and it has Swift springs. And it's offered at a fair and reasonable price. I think it's $2,900 for the coilover kit. So, yeah. Then he also wanted to prove out the car's competitiveness. He participated in the NASA National Championship that year at Daytona International Speedway, and he actually won the national championship in ST5 with the SpecE9X test car. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, so you, much like me, spreadsheet to death, and you shared yours with me. In fact, I'm looking at your spreadsheet. It was $2,900, $2,890 at the time you purchased. Round up for inflation's sake, right?
Sure.
Okay, that's these. So, to me, why did you pick this? Okay, why should somebody pick this class in the E90 over going to the 46 or the Spec 3 crew? Because you need to set yourselves apart. I understand where you're coming from because you're like, well, I already owned an E90, so maybe I should just do it, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be plenty of those types of people. But what set this car apart from the 46 crew specifically?
Sure. So I think there's a couple factors. One is just the used car market right now. It's at an interesting place. I look across really 30 years of BMW chassis. You have E30, E36, E46, E9X, and really usable donors. I'd say the median price is probably about $4,000 across 30 years of BMWs. And you can find decent deals. There's
for
a
the E90s and the E92s. They're $4,000.
I got mine in a really good, well taken care of condition. I streeted it for 2 years, and that was $5,200. But a buddy of mine down in North Carolina found a deal. They're like, oh, it's knocking, or it's got something wrong with the injection. And he changed spark plugs and coils, and it ran perfectly fine. So it was $500 plus or $200 in new plugs and coils, and got him a good deal. There's a bunch of E90s and E92s out there and available, which when I look at the other classes, I see the availability. It's still there. You got to look for the good deals, but they're dwindling and they're aging.
For sure. I was looking at maybe getting a spec 46-ish car for a daily. So 330, rear wheel drive, just looking for them. And they're super high mileage, all of them now, because of their age, and then, they're they're expensive for what they are. And finding a clean one, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing too, when you look at some of the cars built for other classes, there's getting to be quite a demand for them. I think that your SpecE46 podcast, some of them spoke to some of the high asking prices for these cars. And, don't get me wrong, they put some really good equipment in there and they built it to a very high standard. Some of the stuff in the spreadsheet I kind of left out because I don't want to have that as an introductory price on the optional things that I put in. I think I put a note up top of like, hey, like I have like $4,000 in professional labor in the pricing that I put in. So it's like, for a do-it-yourselfer guy, like you can be a little over 20 grand in parts, $4,000 for a donor car. You can build this for $25,000. But, it'll take some work. It'll take some effort. As far as the market for it, if I, sold mine, I don't know what would go for it because the class isn't really built. It's not fully developed yet, and there wouldn't necessarily be a lot of demand for it. And I think that's what we're seeing with the other class too. There's a lot of demand for it, so people are willing to pay that price. And it's an exciting class. I'm happy for them. They're doing great.
Yeah, I mean they're growing, and I'm not saying you're not growing. You guys are in your infancy as far as I'm concerned. When you talk the time frame, you were talking about Daytona essentially as a proof of concept until now. That's super young for a class. Very, very young.
Yeah.
But to be able to find donors at that price range, excuse me, looking at your spreadsheet to put in, $4,000 or $5,000. I do everything myself except for transmissions and the cage. So paying for that, I'm not against, right?
Right.
So that's just normal. Most people don't build their own cages, So having that as a cost, that's given, So the price range that you're talking about for a turnkey race car that you can build in your garage isn't out of line, in my opinion. What do you know what your lap times are, or the SpecE9X lap times are versus the 46?
Yeah, I do have a little bit of data to offer on that. Not a lot of data because we don't have a bunch of cars or a bunch of drivers. But my personal lap times, like around VIR, I did a 2:13, which was at Oktoberfest this past year. It was mid-pack spec E30 or E46 pace, which I was happy with. I'm not nearly the driver that some of those drivers are. My car's, not quite fully developed. Carlos had been working with Epic Motorsports on finalizing the spec tune, so I was on a 330i stock tune, which was good for probably about close to 230 at the wheels. But the spec tune has since been finalized, and it's good for about 255 at the wheels.
Okay,
that'll be a good bump. I was also
it's a
about
big bump for VIR.
100 pounds. Yeah, I was also about 100 pounds heavy. And there have been some rule changes over the off season too. There are some performance upgrades I can apply as well. So just little things that we found early on in the series development that, some minor tweaks that we can add to the chassis at, not a crazy price, but offer, a considerable dollar per performance ratio.
Yeah. So. I think that's important to recognize early in this conversation is that it's a young class. It's an evolving class. And so in my outline that I sent you, I think maybe it's a little too far down the list. But the community, what kind of community do you guys have and how can people reach out to you guys? I think because it's an evolving class, the potential people need to be as plugged in as possible. So what kind of resources are you guys, or where are you guys active in sharing your information?
Yeah, so all the information for the class can be found on the website, SpecE9X.com. It's very easy to find the rules, to look at some track records. And the community is, mostly active on Facebook. There's a SpecE9X Facebook group, and there's a group chat within that. There's some very good discussions in there for, if anyone needs help or if people are in the group to look at potential donor cars. We've been sharing them, posting them and putting them in the chat. And then also sharing some really good, technical data and discussions. And then there's SpecE9X on Instagram. So,
okay. Yeah. But all that is important for potential people. So, reach out to these folks, get on Facebook, get on Instagram, go to the website. There's probably going to be some sort of email at some point that you can reach out to. Probably. I would put one together because there's some folks that don't do Facebook and Instagram, but then there's people who are incognito and don't have a picture, but they'll join your group just to get that. So let's get a little bit into the details so potential people don't go too far. So one, we'll talk about it, but if you're a potential person, you really need to go online, find the rules. Do you have your spreadsheet shared by chance?
I have my spreadsheet as a shareable link,
okay.
Which I'll share with you. There's another build that's on the SpecE9X website. It's Matt Lopez down in Florida. his pricing is about the same. I think his is like 22,000 or so in parts, and I think he got a cheap car co-part, so it's very much in line with what I shared with you. So people can look that up and see what parts that they could add to their car and sort of budget accordingly.
Okay, so you're very detailed in your kit. So excuse me, in your spreadsheet, like very detailed, to the point where there's oil pan gaskets and things like that on here. So,
well, yeah, if you're gonna drop the pan and do the baffle, then you're gonna be doing that, right? It's part of the upgrade,
right?
So, yeah.
So let's talk about the engine and what can be done. You said there's a new tune, right? So there's a spec tune.
Yep.
Does that mean there's no spec horsepower cap?
I think that all the other classes, they have horsepower and torque numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the series right now is too young and to really have like a good average of those numbers and understanding of the numbers, because so far it's just been Carlos working with Epic and getting his personal numbers, but engines do vary on their lifespan. Sometimes you get a freak junkyard engine that for some reason is 5 or 10 horsepower above the average, and it's like, I didn't do anything illegal, I promise.
Or there's guys who overboard to factory spec and it comes out really well. A fresh rebuild is a fresh rebuild, right? So let's try to leave off the ancillary little things. They need to get into the spreadsheet to do that. But what modifications are allowed to the engine?
Sure. So I guess taking sort of the path of the air, we'll go through the intake first, right? So they can open up the intake box and cut out that charcoal filter, put in a nice high flow filter. There's a little resonator tube. They can change that out for a silicone one and free up some airflow that way. The intake is the 3-stage intake manifold. It's found on the BMW 330i and then also on the N51 version engines, and then it was also available on some of like the X5 and X3 models with the N52s. It just has the DISA valves to allow for ideal resonances at different RPMs to maximize power and torque throughout the whole power band. Then on the exhaust side, we have spec headers that Condor Speed Shop sells. Then there's a spec exhaust collector, 2-to-1 collector, post headers. It's a specified distance from the header end flange, and then it's a 3-inch pipe that goes to the back to a spec Flowmaster muffler.
Okay. And then I see, let's see, you have a silicone intake boot. So I guess that's part of you replace the stock.
Yeah, to get rid of that little resonator too.
Yeah. Is the oil pan baffle kit listed on your list? Is that a spec item, or are there multiple baffles?
You can run with or without it. I think Carlos has been quite reliable now for like 3 race seasons without it. Okay. So
that's wild to me. Okay.
Another thing that you're able to do too is like oil cooling. There was there's a couple of ways that you can do it. There's the N54 oil filter housing, where it has adapters where you can run some hoses to an auxiliary oil cooler. And then, so that was sort of a factory option for the 335i. And then for the high output versions of the N52, there was a water to oil cooler, which, it's actually quite confined, keeps things simple. That's the option that I chose to go. It's a kit that FCP Euro sells, and so I got it from them. You can probably source it cheaper than I did, but I just want
lifetime warranty. Why do it?
Factory stuff. Exactly, why not? So
it's another FCP Euro class. I really wish they'd do a FCP Asia for me, but whatever. The next thing you have listed is drivetrain from the engine, right? So it lists differential. Are you guys just using a stock BMW LSD? Is that how I'm reading this?
No, okay. No, we are not. So the differential is from the automatic. So that's an automatic ratio 373, and then the LSD is kind of open. Same reasons as SpecE9X is open. It's hard to enforce breakaway torque because you can, get really technical into passing the tests, but still being able to have 2 mile an hour corner exit speed faster than anyone else with some trick differential. So it's open to however you want to make it a limited slip. I chose the Racing Diffs kit, which is like a $200 insert, and then it's like whatever $50. I went to a machine shop to have the stubs machined down so that the kit can fit and properly get against the spider gears internally. And then there's like another $30 in parts and gear oil just to put it all back together. So for under $600, I had a limited slip differential, including the cost of the differential. So
okay.
So far it's been good.
I see that you have a single mass flywheel conversion on here because yours blew up, like you talked about.
It did.
It's probably best to leave those dual mass flywheels to the street because apparently they blow up there. I definitely would think they would blow up on track.
Yeah, I've had that happen in the Endurance E36.
Oh, really?
Well. Yeah.
And then you have all the bushings down here. So are bushings free in your class, or do they have to?
Yeah, they're allowed.
You could go solid if you were crazy enough to rattle all your teeth? Okay.
No. So the rules align in to how the other spec BMW classes mostly align. They specify a sort of a performance replacement, non-metallic or non-monoball.
Okay.
So any sort of polyurethane, kind of Delrin or UHMW, you're allowed to replace for those. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's important. There's some people crazy enough to use aluminum or whatever and make a mount, a solid mount. So it's important to realize you have to use some sort of non-metallic piece. So, and then the suspension, we talked about the Öhlins, but what else is done to the suspension pieces? Sure.
Let's see. So the camber plates are Vorschlag. If you don't know about Vorschlag and Terry, look up Terry Fair on Facebook. He is the meme lord of.
Oh, I'm aware.
The automotive.
Yes, he is.
Oh yeah. So yeah, he's a good guy. He offers some great products. So yeah, Vorschlag is a good recommended camber plate, not just for SpecE9X, but for a lot of other makes and models of cars and classes. Let's see. I did the bushings. Let's see. Wheel and tire package is the same as SpecE9X.
So you're running the 255s though. Okay.
Yeah, 255s. The only difference really is that really for this year we added the Maxxis RC1s because we're not officially formalized with NASA at the national level, right? So until we get formally adopted and either tire manufacturer wants to give us a contingency, we'll run either or, whoever wants to run it. I ran the 2023 season, did 6 weekends on 2 sets of Toyo RRs, and they were great. I loved them. Like at Summit Point, I think I got my lap time down to like a 126 flat, and then like on a 28th heat cycle of the RRs, like they were practically trash. I was still doing 126s that session. So they're great for longevity. I think that the maxes are a little bit faster. But I think that they have a little bit of wear on times towards the end of their life. So.
Yeah, but people want to be fast. They want to be fast, right?
Yep.
I see sway bars and also bushings listed on your spreadsheet. Are these bushings, they're non-spherical, right? Or are they Delrin, or what bushings are you doing for the suspension pieces?
I have a few favorite brands that I go for, that I tend to. Of course, Carlos would probably like me to say, Condor Speed Shop, but I like to stick what I know with experience. I use pretty much all PowerFlex with the E36 for the endurance car. So I kind of went with them for mostly everything. Okay. Basically, if I couldn't go with AKG, I went PowerFlex. But yeah, people are free and available to use sort of whatever allowed bushing they want, whether it's from Condor, PowerFlex, or whoever else, AKG, you name it. There's lots of companies out there.
So I also see you have a front sway bar listed. I don't see the rear sway bar listed. Are you supposed to be on a factory rear sway bar?
No, you're not. So actually, funny enough, I just added that to the list, and it actually just arrived today. It's yet to be on the car. I chose a UUC sway bar, mostly because the owner of that company is a friend of mine. He races in Champ Car, and he's such a great guy. I want to support his business, but also he mentions in the description that he has a 30 millimeter hollow sway bar for the front, and offers pretty much the same stiffness as a 27 millimeter solid. So that was kind of interest to me, because Carlos, when he went from a stock sway bar in the front to a 27 millimeter solid, I think he went with, I forget which bar he went with, H&R Spring. That was it. He dropped a second around Sebring instantly. That was the only change. So for, you can say like a $300 sway bar, you drop a second. That's quite a dollar to performance ratio. Because
that's impeccable. Like, that's amazing. I wish I could spend $300 to go drop a second. I guess I need seat time, might get me there, but okay, so it looks or sounds like that sway bars are open for your class.
There are limitations. I personally haven't done the sway bar testing. That's mostly been the Florida guys. Carlos has a good group of buddies, and I think like 4 or 5 SpecE9Xs that race down there. And they've all been trying different bars, and they spreadsheet just like I do, and they've shared their data with me, and I've decided to try some other ones. So yeah, there are limitations on sizes, but otherwise, it's mostly open. It's
okay.
However anyone wants to build.
It's interesting. It's spec, but not quite as spec as some of the earlier classes. Spec 46 is similar, right? So they basically gave a range. You can buy whatever bar you want, I think, but you can only have it can only be so thick, right? So
yeah, and that's what we have too. I mean, we find that's people are going to talk. People are going to settle on a bar that either is determined to be the fastest, or maybe it doesn't suit their driving style, so they're fastest with another bar, right? So It's really up to the driver on some of the finer tuning details, because really the sway bar is as a tuning device once you get the fast bar in there, right? So
okay. And so you have listed the Apex ARC 8 17x9 with a 30 offset. Is that the spec wheel, or is, because the spec 46 guys also they just do a width. They don't care, I think. They just do a width.
I think that they're still 17x9s because like their spec tire is a 17, right? So, and the 255s, they fit really well on a 9. It's literally, I think, the same rule. It's 17x9, whatever brand, as long as the wheel is equal to or greater than 16.2 pounds. The Apex one that I chose is 16.5 pounds. So it's just, pretty close. It's a flow formed wheel, so it's not the high dollar forged wheel. And the 30 offset, it's less of an offset from the center line, which seems to work better than like the 42 offset that the SpecE9X guys run, just because of the differences in suspension and chassis between the models. So,
yeah, but you're running a 15 mil spacer on all four corners.
Mm-hmm. I am.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah, if I run with a 42 offset, then I would have needed
32 mil.
What, 12 more? Yeah,
they don't make those.
No.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. All right. And then let's talk brakes, because you BMW guys, you guys have good brakes, it seems like. So
we do. Yeah. I mean, my Endurance E36, I run like 24-hour races on factory brakes with PFC 08 pads, and I won't have to do a pad change the entire race. I went the entire 6 NASA weekends for my season last year in HPDE just on one set of PFC 08s. So, it's a great brake package from factory. PFC offers a really great pad for longevity. At SpecE9X, they run the DTC 60s. I've run those before. They don't quite last as long. It's nice that they have a good FCP Euro free brake pad deal going on. But I mean,
for the rotors too. So
for the rotors too. Yeah, I mean, I think I can get it through FCP as well for rotors. But it's a really good brake package from the factory. There's a couple of different brake packages though that the E9Xs come with. There's like I have the 325. The 330 had a bigger brake package, and then I think the 328 had like a M Sport package that might have been even bigger brake package. So like there's like 3 or 4 different OEM sizes, and they're all allowed as long as it was stock to the 325, 328, 330 platform. We're not allowing any 335i or M3 brake packages.
Yeah, but you can retrofit your car to the larger one that came on a. You could. Okay. I think that's important.
You could if you want.
Important to point out. So.
Yeah. Some people have done that. Some people prefer that. I think that you had a guest recently that was talking about thermodynamics, and brakes get really hot, especially when you get a lot of power or you have tracks with long braking zones. Sometimes there's a good advantage to having big brake kits or bigger allowed brake kits. Personally, I actually kept the smaller of all the options, the 325 kit, just because it's worked. And I don't need the extra unsprung mass. So,
yeah, it's up front for you. It'd be okay, but
yeah, we'll be fine.
I see the brass brake caliper guide bushing set. That's like standard for every BMW. You should just do that, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish they would make it for us. We just have to clean ours all the time and lube ours all the time. But yeah. So that's the last section is basically what everyone has to do, right? Roll cage, seat, brackets. You have brackets and a base. That's different. Honda guys might have you beat there.
Yeah, I used a planted base. So the factory 4 bolts for the factory seat, they don't really mate well with a lot of other aftermarket seat brackets, right? So there's an adapter base to go to some side brackets for the seats.
That's different. For us, we just buy it from PCI because they make it all in one unit, essentially. The adapter and the side pieces come to us. So that's just different for me.
Yeah. And I'm sure like I could fab up some stuff and probably get the seat down lower, but honestly, like I don't find it necessary because I'm actually quite happy with where the seat position kind of landed me. So
well, if you're a midget like me, I have to raise my seat this year because I want a little more visibility over the steering wheel. So
yeah, that's important in a race car. It's important to see.
Yeah. So much like everyone now, we're required to have fire suppression. If you don't have it, you need to go get it. Last year I did a giveaway because it was the first mandatory year. So I did a giveaway of a fire system. And you just have the standard stuff, quick release steering wheel, a seat. Everyone needs to go get fitted for a seat, in my opinion. Sit in as many as you can. Go to OG Racing in Sterling if you're close, or make a day trip of it or whatever. Get up there or over there and sit in all of them because your comfort is important in the seat and in your safety also.
Just the other day, they became an official sponsor for NASA at the national level. So, yeah, good on them. I bought a few stuff from them. They're a great company, and yeah. They're
so close to me that I get all my giveaway stuff from them. So I just call them up and say, "This is what I want," and they say, "This is your price. Pay it," and it'll be there. I pay standard shipping. I'm so close to them that it comes in one day. So standard shipping for me is overnight. So,
cool.
Yeah, but I see, let's see, quick release hub, fire suppression. Well, you have the cool suit, which is important in my opinion. Brackets.
I think I got kill switches and just accessory hardware that, if someone wants a list to look at, as a baseline, I try to include all the items and try not to hide anything.
Right. Roll cage foam adds up.
It's more than just bolting performance parts on, putting on a suspension kit and getting out there.
That'll get you through some HPDE level, but as soon as you hit a certain level, you need to start concentrating on safety. So,
yeah. I'd say, like, as far as the list that you're seeing, I've got about like 90% of this build done between January of last year and Hyperfest. So it was a mad scramble. It was wild, but doable. With a full-time job, and I travel a lot for my job, going to different tracks and doing the flagging stuff that we talked about. It's great stuff. It's fun. And then I did HPD. I started in HPD 2. I'd done 7 years of endurance racing with Champ Car. I'd been talking with Chris Cabetto on sort of the best path for me. And then the following 5 events of 2023, I just hung out in HPD 3, had a good time, and then I'll do comp school in March. So,
yeah. Wait, you're doing comp school this March?
This March.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Maybe I'll come out for the fun race and harass you with my 9,000 RPMs.
I'm sure it's loud.
Yeah, there's no muffler on it, so people know when I'm coming. So you have an anti-gravity battery, so apparently that's free in the system.
Yeah, it's just under 10 pounds. So I figured that was it's probably it's fairly expensive. I got a pretty good deal on it, and then like the week after I bought it, they did like another price increase on it. So I was like lucked out there. But yeah, it's the factory battery is like 50 something pounds. So it was like instantly 40 pounds of weight savings.
That's probably important to point out. Then you should find some other battery than that 50-pound one, because my truck doesn't even have a 50-pound battery in it. One thing I'm noticing on further down this list is polycarbonate window sets. So you guys do run Lexan essentially.
Yeah, I've got that on the back doors.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your back glass?
That's still factory.
Okay. Is it allowed to go to? In your class, is it allowed to go to Lexan? Do you know?
I don't know. Yeah. I'd have to read up on that part.
Yeah. And then, the emergency sticker set, you need all that. Toe straps front and rear, that's a CCR thing. Everybody needs that. Sunroof delete, you definitely need that. And the inclement weather light is on there because everybody needs that too. So one thing I absolutely love about your spreadsheet, I think everybody needs to see. If you're going to do this class, you need to see this, because he has sales tax and shipping included. And,
I do.
And it's so important because every single item you purchase, it adds up. It actually added up. That extra expenses line is actually kind of, I was surprised. Now I have all of that information for my setup, and mine, I was a little different. I had some help from IPG Parts, and so things, shipping and all that stuff gets a little blurry, right? I want a new diff or a gear set, and he's like, this is the price out the door. So some of that gets bled into on my spreadsheet. I didn't get to pull all of it out, but when I buy from Amazon, okay, that's easy, right? Those types of things. But when you're building a car, to have $1,000 worth of taxes and shipping,
you can't just focus on
people don't realize that. Yeah. That people don't realize that.
If you just focus on the subtotals, then over this entire build, you're going to be like wondering where another $1,000+ went, because that's what it takes. You're buying a lot of parts that cost a lot of money from a lot of different vendors. There's going to be tax on that. There's going to be tons of shipping.
So just be aware. That's really interesting. I enjoyed seeing that in this spreadsheet. Because a lot of people, I was accused of, or I was told, not accused. Well, I was accused of I was going to go over budget, and I was like, I can't, because I don't have any more money, right? If you don't have any more money, you can't go over budget. And they were like, well, whatever your budget is, double it. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. I had literally did a line item, right, for everything to include shipping and taxes. So, and even miscellaneous hardware from Lowe's or McMaster-Carr or wherever, I had that line too. So it's important to realize when you're getting into this, that stuff adds up.
Yeah. I just think it's important to, list everything out and have everything sort of well documented, just so that you can look back on and be like, oh, that's what happened. Right. And feel free to, share my spreadsheet out with, in the notes of the episode too, if anyone wants to take a look at One, how intricate and tedious I am with spreadsheeting, and two, just if they're genuinely curious on what parts and stuff I put on my SpecE9X, and they can sort of pick and choose on a lot of the parts on what they want to include or not include or whatnot. But I'll be straight up and truthful with the build costs. And interestingly enough, like I was at Oktoberfest, and the car was getting a fair bit of attention. I was there with another SpecE9X guy out of Charlotte area, and he was looking at the cars and looking them over real close. And we were talking for about 10, 15 minutes, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm one of the founders of SpecE46." I'm like, "Oh, you're very interested in these." but he was in agreement. He was happy to see it come, because he was like, it is about time for it to come, right? Because you figure, the lifespan of the BMW 3 chassis is 6, 7, 8 years. And last year, SpecE46, they celebrated their 10th anniversary, right? So there's going to be a natural attrition of cars, that are later in their years, and it's just going to be a matter of time for the next generation to start a new series. So
yeah, absolutely. Especially the spec series. I don't know how the Miatas still hang on. I guess they collected them all early on, and they all have a dozen of them laying around somewhere for parts and tubs and stuff. Yeah. Because everybody else is struggling. It does help that Mazda is extremely supportive of them. So yes, they're fortunate in that respect. But you mentioned another car in the Mid-Atlantic region, so that was two of you guys. What are the car counts looking like?
Car counts, let's see. So I mentioned it's real popular in Florida and growing and flourishing there. We did a get-together last year at Roebling Road in late August, early September. It was a good halfway middle point. It was like a 7-hour drive for me from Richmond, 7-hour drive for Carlos coming from Southern Florida. And so some Florida guys were able to come. There's a big group forming in the Southeast region, and they fully embrace it. Like Jim Pantis, he goes into the timing and scoring info, and even though it's not a class that they're able to import into orbits from the timing and scoring standpoint, because you have to register in like ST4 or ST5. He'll go in and change it to SpecE9X, and he'll list his published results as SpecE9X, and they're fully embracing it down there. I hope that energy can continue up north. I'm certainly trying. I mentioned my friend Nick out of Charlotte. He comes to some of the Mid-Atlantic events. I expect him to be there with me in March at VIR. I think he mentioned he wanted to do Summit Point. That's probably going to be June when he does that. And then there's another guy, Sebastian. He comes to the VIR events as well. He's also based out in North Carolina. He's in DE4. He's somewhere in the middle from street car to race car in his build.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, this is a no-brainer if you have a qualifying E90, E92, and it looks cheap, right? Especially if you're tracking it already. So where you plan to track it. You're an E90, E92 owner, and you're like, I'm going to the racetrack. Well, most of the stuff you have listed is very maintenance-y. And then
it is. A lot of the things that you're going to have to spend money on anyway, right? So, just try to be, all-inclusive of what a true track build from a street car is. Some of the parts will already be applicable before you take it to the track. So it'll be whatever, less than 20K from whatever sort of track worthy standpoint from a DE standpoint. So.
Yeah. Do you know what it's going to take to get you guys recognized by NASA or maybe another sanctioning body whoever can get you qualified for these contingencies?
Sure. So I think that we're already recognized with SCCA in the T3 class. There was a newsletter that came out in November about that, allowing the published rules on our website to be worthy in the T3 class. And then as far as on the NASA side, I think that, they're a little bit hesitant because they're going to, a little bit of the attitude, oh no, another BMW class. But then it's also, what requirements, how many cars do we need to become a class? I like to compare it to, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Do you advertise a class and rally some excitement around something new and try to get people building it? Or do you have to have a bunch of people with built cars already to have a class made, right? So it's the answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. Some regional directors, they'll advocate probably a number that they really want in order for them to, at least regionally recognize them. And other regions will fully embrace. And then at some point it'll, catch on at the national level. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. I just, the E30 tanks are not going to last forever. They're just not. Eventually that class will sunset. If you look at the age of those cars and say, and now they did make more of them than a 944, but spec 944 is basically sunset, So to think that the E30s are going to last for another 15 years, that I don't see that happening. Unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's set to start getting this rolling while some other classes that are older might start dwindling, right? Have another option of something newer and exciting to build towards.
You bought a $5,200 E90 street car, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I can't find E30s without having to do a major overhaul for less than $5,000. So
yeah,
why wouldn't I want the newer car? There's a progression here, and it's coming. So
yeah, and it's exciting too. I mean, I mentioned my 2:13 lap time, and that's considerably slower than some of the SpecE46 guys. But I'm not near the driver some of those guys are. But Carlos, he's a pretty good guy. He's gone, I think, about 2 seconds faster around Sebring than any published SpecE46 time, and is about a second faster at Daytona too. So it's also fun and fast. I mean, there'll be some people that'll point to a spec series and say, "Oh, you shouldn't make a series fast," right? But there sort of needs to be a natural progression. As something is newer, it needs to be faster, and we're trying to do that at a cost reasonable level. It's as we've talked about already. Dollar per performance. Every part has to really earn itself on the car. So we've been working hard at it for a number of years now, and to really formalize that list and the rule set, and get together a good package for everyone to build to.
Yeah, that's going to be important. And I wish you guys all the luck in the world. I will never race with you guys because you guys are in Thunder, I bet. So, wait, you said ST5 though?
So early on in development, it was an ST5 car. I probably have to run a lot of ballast now to be ST5. So I have registered for ST4 in March.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I won't be buying one, and I won't be racing one because I have too much money in my Honda already. So, and we won't share the track, but we can share the paddock. So
we can share the paddock. Yeah. Have some good times and good conversations.
Absolutely.
Outside of it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you sharing such a young and infant class. You guys are just going to grow from here. That you have no choice. I don't see.
Yeah, Yeah, I appreciate you having me on and highlighting this new class. I think it's something exciting, and we'll certainly grow. And yeah, it's something that will be awesome to be a part of.
Yeah, and to be honest, at the rate that Taylor and those guys share E36 chassis with all their people, and as fast as they're growing, they're going to chew through all those chassis too. So,
oh yeah, that's been a concern of mine, because I endurance race a 94 E36 with the single Vanos engine, which is exactly their spec thing. So like, I love the growth that he has, but like there's a small part in the back of my brain. It's like,
yeah,
stop! I need some
save some stuff for me. Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, you have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Until next time, keep working on yourself, keep working on the car, and let's get faster.